Hey everyone, today we're going to jump into a really fascinating and, kind of shocking metaphor from an ancient text. It describes the entire human condition as a kind of spiritual intoxication. So, what does that even mean, and what can it teach us about ourselves? Let's get into it.
So the source material just throws us right into the deep end with this one. I mean, just picture it. You walk into a massive party, everyone is completely wasted, but nobody seems to want a glass of water. That's the image we're given of all of humanity. It's a pretty intense and unsettling way to start.
So, this is the big question, right? Obviously, the text isn't talking about actual alcohol. It's using intoxication as a metaphor for a specific state of mind, a certain kind of consciousness. So, let's try to unpack what that really means. All right, so first up, let's explore this diagnosis a little bit more. According to this text, what does this intoxicated world actually look and feel like? Okay, so this is the crucial part. This isn't about judging people or saying they're bad. It's more of a description. The text sees intoxication as the perfect way to talk about a state of spiritual ignorance, a kind of forgetfulness where you're just not aware of your true nature. And as the text points out, that state always leads to suffering. And wow, the source does not pull any punches here. It describes a world where people are blind in their hearts. They just can't see what's really important. It says they come into the world empty, which makes sense, like a blank slate. But then it says they seek to leave empty too, because they never find any real meaning. They're so out of it, they don't even know they're thirsty for something more. So from there, the text takes it a step further. This intoxication isn't just a state of confusion. It builds into what the source calls a sickness of the soul. It's a condition that actually causes this deep inner pain. And this slide just lays it all out, side by side. The contrast is just, well, it's like night and day, really. On one side, you have the intoxicated self, who is blind, empty, and just constantly being pushed around by fear and desire. And on the other, you have the sober self, who is clear-headed, intelligent, and guided by truth. What I find really powerful here is the tone. The speaker's soul is afflicted. This isn't anger, it's not judgment, it's this deep, profound sorrow. It's the kind of sadness you'd feel watching someone you care about suffer, all because they just can't see what's happening to them. And this right here, this is the root cause of that sickness. According to the text, all the pain, all the unhealthiness, it all boils down to one simple thing. When you're spiritually intoxicated, you're living a lie. You're acting like someone you are not, completely out of sync with your authentic self. But thankfully, and this is a big thankfully, the text doesn't just leave us in this dark place. It actually offers a way out. It lays out a really clear path toward what it calls sobriety, or a state of spiritual awakening. So the whole journey begins with some serious self-honesty. First, you've got to admit, hey, maybe I'm intoxicated too. Then you have to look at how that's negatively affecting your life. Only then, the text says, can you confess your own ignorance and finally, make the active choice to shake off the wine. It's a deliberate decision. The text is crystal clear on this point. Denial is the biggest roadblock. Think about it, it's just like any addiction, right? That first step, the one where you finally admit there's a problem, is the one that makes everything else possible. Without that, you literally cannot even start the journey. Okay, so this brings us to the final part. And honestly, this part is kind of a mind bender. After laying out the sickness and the cure, the text gives us this incredible prognosis, a message of absolute, guaranteed hope. So first things first, and this is huge, the text is very clear. This spiritual intoxication, this state of being lost and forgetful, it's temporary. It is not a life sentence. It's a phase, not your final destination. And here it is. This is the big one, the most radical promise in the entire text. It's not just that you can sober up, it's that you will. The text basically says that every single person, eventually, is going to wake up. It's not just a possibility, it's an inevitability. Now, when the text says that people will repent, it's using that word in a very specific sense. It's not about feeling guilty or ashamed. It's talking about a complete spiritual conversion, a radical, fundamental shift in how you see everything. It's a total transformation. So we end with this thought. If the text is right, if there's a guarantee that everyone sobers up eventually, then the only real variable is when. And that brings this ancient idea right back to us, right here and now.
It kind of forces us to ask ourselves, what's the wine in my own life? What are the habits, the beliefs, the fears that might be clouding my vision and keeping me from being thirsty for what really matters? That's definitely something worth thinking about.